What's up, my friends? I'm Drake White, and you're listening to Like a Farmer.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer, powered by Ag America Media. As always, catch us every Wednesday on YouTube or wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Today, we are back in Tennessee with Mr. Drake White. Drake, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hoax Bluff, Alabama?
Hoax Bluff, Alabama, the booming metropolis, yeah. About 4,000 people, I guess.
Well, this is a first for Like a Farmer. I don't think this might be the only time that I have a Hoax Bluff resident. I mean, when you think about Hoax Bluff, I'm gonna just assume that you might be the most popular person that came out of that town. Like when you drive into town, is there a Drake White sign?
There's not, but there is a state championship sign of 2001. There's a red light and Sonic and a Taco Bell and KFC and a bank. It's awesome. I love that town. I mean, there would be 5,000-6,000 people Friday nights at a football game. And it's just, my family still lives there. And, you know, my mom graduated from high school there. My best friend from high school still coaches football there. And it's a good place to go back to. And people are always glad, you know, to see you when you get there. And it's North Alabama. It's beautiful. You know, there's lakes and rivers. I grew up on the Coosa River there and chasing ducks and deer, and there was just that sense of community, you know, that I think that's so valuable for me, my music, for me and my, you know, just the way I am today. You know, it's just a super cool place to be from.
Hell, I think we could probably stop after that. I mean, we have talked so much on this show, small town America, these rural communities, that the people that come out of the town, whether it's going to Nashville or Texas or wherever they're moving to, they don't forget where they come from. And I've listened to a lot of your music for a long time now, and you're not a pretender when you come to this genre. I mean, you're basically writing songs, singing songs about how you grew up. You just hit it on the head. Friday night football, being able to leave the porch door open. It's an open door policy. Everybody helps each other. It's rural communities that we need more of in this country, because that's kind of what built you. And you're today writing and singing songs about those times that you had in Alabama.
Yeah. Well, songwriting and music kind of came later. I didn't really intend on doing that. I was going to be in construction, and I've got a building science degree from Auburn, and I was going to, you know, have a real job and go out here and start my own construction company, and that's what I was going to do. And music was something that I did to show people a good time, and started banging it around, you know, campfires and stuff like that. And one thing led to another. Since I was tired of singing, you know, John Prine and Hank Jr. songs, I'd just make up a song, and that freestyling became songwriting. And then I was like, oh, well, this is kind of coming pretty fluently and easy. Like, maybe I should do this and try this. And Auburn gave me the place to do that at Wings to Go, and I just started doing it and watching 50 people turn to 100, you know, 150 people, and met Adam Hood, met Wayne Mills, and it was all over. Yeah. So, but I did want to comment. I was on talking about the people in the small towns. Like, I went to a Bible study at my father-in-law's little country church at Green Valley Baptist Church, and the youngest guy in there was definitely me by like 30 years. And I mean, I think my father-in-law was the next youngest guy, and he's 65, so, or 60. And they were talking about just like doom and gloom. Like they were watching Fox, watching CNN, and they were going, man, we're so, I'm so discouraged for my grandkids. I'm so discouraged for my kids. And I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to, you know, I came there to sit there and eat a good breakfast and just hang out with a bunch of old guys and talk Southernisms and maybe get a little word from that morning. And man, I got so convicted. Something, my heart started beating fast, and I had this thought pop up in my head of, hey guys, like, I'm from Hoax Bluff, like right across the mountain, and I get a chance to go to 120 cities a year. And I'm telling you, I shake the hands of the farmers, of the bricklayers, of the electricians, of the doctors, of the teachers, policemen, firemen. We get to shake those hands, and those people love each other. And there's way more good in those people than bad. And there's way more good cities than bad cities. Mm-hmm. I said, and if you'll turn Fox and CNN off and you'll go outside of this bubble, because most people if you live in Hoax Bluff, you live in Hoax Bluff. And it's just that little bubble. And that's fine. I love Hoax Bluff. And I'm so proud I'm from there. But I think Mark Twain said travel annihilates all bigotry and racism. And to go do that and go to those 100 cities plus a year, like it's and countries too, go to Europe and all over the place and see people and understand it's literally everybody's the same. They're trying to grow a good tomato to make a good tomato sandwich, and they're trying to grow kids, and they're trying to maybe watch a football game on the weekend and eat some chicken wings, and that's it, man.
I think it's really cool to see, and we've had a bunch of musicians come on this show, and like when we say, hey, we're here in Nashville, Tennessee, a lot of them they're in the suburbs of Nashville. Like, hey, we know we need to be around the area, but we want to have a couple acres outside of town. I mean, we're here on your farm. You got a beautiful spot outside of Nashville. Like, is it one of those things that you felt the need to move to Tennessee, but you weren't going to go straight into the city? You still want to have some privacy out here?
Absolutely. I did the city. I lived in 12th South. Before it was 12th South, there was a couple of gunshots keeping the pricing down on the houses, and I could afford it. And then the gunshots quit, and I couldn't afford it anymore. So I've always lived, even when I went to school at Auburn, I lived outside of Auburn, 15 minutes outside of Auburn. When I grew up, as I grew up and went to school, I lived 10 minutes from the school. And we lived where there was creeks, and you could go out and shoot a squirrel, or you could go out and hunt a deer, or whatever, catch a fish. And that rural living is just something that I've always desired. If I've got a tractor, it don't matter how many, drop record deals or how many songs fall out of the top 10 or whatever. If I can come out here and get on a tractor, if I can come out here and catch a fish or show my son how to, tie a knot and, set up a fence row, then like my sanity's pretty good. And that's the whole point. I'm riding a motorcycle out here in 2014. Everybody's like, why do you want to move to Whites Creek? That's too far out there. You're going to be too far from the business, too far from the... And I'm like, it's 15 minutes. It's like, it's not far at all. And so I got out here, and actually the guy that I bought this house from wrote, "Don't take the girl." And how I know that is because he introduced himself as the guy that wrote, "Don't take the girl." We just moved out here before it went crazy, and bought some acreage and built this barn, and it's been great.
So before we got on camera, you've been telling some stories, especially on your everyday routine, which in my opinion just can be psychotic. And I want you to say that again. But a lot of the things we talk about on this show have to do with adversity, and you've had to face some of that stuff. And before we get into the music career and kind of things that you have coming down the pipeline, which I'm excited about, I want you to hit on, your accident in 2019 and kind of how that changed your...
Yeah. Well, I'll kind of set that up. With 2018, 16, 17 were really good. We're rocking. We've got record deals. Everybody's talking about us in Nashville. And I don't want to make it sound like we were going to the moon when this happened in 2019, because we had been dropped from a record deal and we were fighting our way back through that, but it felt very optimistic. I'd had to rebuild the band. I'd got new management at the time. And so I had fought through a lot of industry setbacks, as they say, but all of my heroes did. And I had some really good people, your Craig Morgans, your Jamie Johnsons, your just guys that were Eric Church, Zach Brown, that I had toured with, that were like part of it, man. Keep writing great music, keep rolling. And so I was in that, and I was about to go out with Zach for about 12, 15 shows, and I think we had I know we had an Australian tour set up because we had paid about $28,000 for the plane tickets. And I got a headache. I was running about 2 to 5 miles a day, just trying to get in really good shape to jump around and, be an athlete on stage and do what I did. And I got a headache that put me in a MRI machine, and that MRI showed what's called an AVM, arterial venous malformation. And apparently I was born with it. You know, in the embryonic stage, it formed, and the wad of veins and arteries is not fatal until, you know, most of the time it's a 65-year-old that you find in the backyard that's hemorrhaged. And, you know, 1 in 17,000 have an AVM, 1 in 32,000 have them in their brains. We're going to embolize it with a series of 7 to 8 embolizations, which entails going up through your femoral artery into the back of your brain, and we're going to squeeze it full of this stuff called onyx. And you're in luck because this guy named Dr. Miracle is here in Nashville, and that's his real name, and he invented this stuff, and he's done thousands and thousands of them. So here we go. I'm like, am I going to get to play the shows? Like, I got shows to play. I've put my 10,000 hours in, and like, I'm ready to go. And he said, yeah, we can do these on Mondays, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays you can rest, and then Thursdays you can be out on the road, you know, armed with your blood pressure medicine, and you should be all right. So that's all I needed to hear, and I went out there, and we started playing shows, man, and started getting those embolizations, and we were 4 into the 7 or 8 that it was going to take to embolize this AVM that was the size of a lime. It was setting right here. And that's the mobile cortex of your left side, this part of your brain. So my hand would go numb every now and then. I just kind of shake it off, but I didn't think anything of it. Well, August rolls around. I mean, you're in the, what is August, the 8th month? No.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, 8th month. We're in August, so we're rocking. We're getting close to the Zach shows. We're getting close. Like, I've built this band. Like, the music feels good, and sweat's rolling. And we go out to Roanoke, Virginia, first stop of the run, and we jump out on stage. And mind you, we've been to Bahrain playing for the troops. We've been all over the world. We've been to Europe before then. And we go to Roanoke, Virginia. I take the stage, and Cotton Candy Skies, you know, 2,000 people in the stands, and man, it's 95 degrees. It's like the perfect August, like sun's going down, everybody's glistening with sweat, and we get out there and start playing, and 3 songs in, I feel a little bit dizzy, but the way I perform is like veins are popping out of my neck, like Eddie Vedder of country music, you know. And I'm out there jumping around, and I feel like this just little tick. It sounded just like that. And I was like, and everything slowed down, like voices slowed down, like the dude that got shot in the neck with a dart on Old School. Like, everything started just like sounding really slow. And I couldn't get anything out. My leg felt like I had a bowling ball on the end of it, my foot. And my hand just was like not working. I could feel my guitar neck in it, but it was just like, what? And for a brief moment, I was like, I'm having a, and about that time, I heard like a gunshot go off in my, right here in my head. It goes, pow, like, and it snapped. And when it did, I kind of went down, and Boone, my drummer, came out from behind the drum set. Zach, my creative director, came, and they pulled me off stage. And you know, that it was a blessing because there was EMTs there watching me. And they're like, hey, something's wrong. And by the way, here's a folder that my type A personality wife had put together, kindergarten teacher, and said, if this happens, this 2% chance, Dr. Miracle said there was a 2% chance of it rupturing. Give them this folder, get him to a hospital immediately. Well, that hospital was 3 minutes away. It was right around the corner. And it was a Trauma 1 hospital. So God produced a miracle there. And I go in 15 minutes, 20 minutes after it started bleeding. I'm vomiting. I'm dying. And, you know, there's a lot of near-death experience stuff happening, which we can get into if you want to. And it's, you know, angels and this and you know, that's happening. And I'm like, well, everything's cognitive. I can feel, I can hear, and they're not wanting to administer any pain medication because they're wanting to make sure that I'm not brain dead. And I can hear them having these conversations. Do we put a port in? Do we not? Do we drain this off? And I was like locked into the skeleton, man, I was like locked in my own skeleton. I couldn't talk. I couldn't be like, no, don't put a port in, like, because I'd done research on that. That's dangerous. Sepsis sets in, and then you're brain dead. Then you can't wipe your own ass for the rest of your life. It's not any kind of life I want or you want or anybody else. And no. But I'm just sitting there and watching this go on around me, and my eyes are just, and they're keeping me awake. And so there's pain there, but there's a lot of peace there. For some reason, I just kept praying to just keep breathing, keep inhaling and exhaling. And there was I felt like that there were people watching over me. I felt like there was, folks in all four corners of the room just like watching over. There's this confidence of like, just keep breathing. You're all right. And dude, I had this thought of like, this is going to be a good story.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat with Like a Farmer. Are you looking to add some local flavors to your recipes? Well, visit freshfromflorida.com today, where you can browse hundreds of delicious recipes that bring Florida freshness to your table all year round. Become a Fresh from Florida member for free and create your own menus. Save and send your favorite dishes and get exclusive access to monthly newsletters packed with fresh local recipes. I can promise you, you will be a favorite in your neighborhood. From the Florida fields to your fork, year-round freshness and flavor are just a logo away. Fresh from Florida, there's a sunshine in every bite. Hey, y'all, today's episode is brought to you by Ag America, your go-to financial partner for all things agriculture. As the largest independent financial firm dedicated to rural America, Ag America is changing the game when it comes to ag lending and leveling up finance options for farmers, ranchers, and landowners across the nation. And I'll let you know a little secret. The thing that sets this company apart from the rest is the people. They understand firsthand the unique needs of American farmers and ranchers because many of them grew up on farms themselves. They take a farmer-focused approach to finance, prioritizing relationships over transactions to help you build a stronger financial foundation for you and your family. So whether you're looking to buy land or secure working capital, Ag America has your back. Visit agamerica.com today to learn more and see how they can help you achieve long-term financial success. Because when farmers thrive, we all do.
And I bet everybody thinks I'm on drugs, but I'm not. It's literally just the 1% thing happened, and that's that AVM ruptured, causing what now we know is a hemorrhagic stroke, caused me to be paralyzed on my left side, and caused me to learn how to walk again, caused me to how to figure out how to use the bathroom and rebuild all this stuff back. So that was my 2019. It started out awesome. We're rocking. And then the rug kind of got pulled out from under us.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What a story that is. Holy shit, dude. I'm ready to get to the whiskey sooner and later.
Break it open.
So let's break that open. But so Drake, tell me exactly. So your career's over after that. You're not thinking about country. You're just thinking about, I got to live.
Oh no, I'm thinking about how we get into Australia.
Right after
Absolutely. Like I'd paid $28,000. I'm from a place where my first job was $5 picking squash. Like I know what a $5 bill is. I know what a $28,000 bill is. And I'm literally so delusional. My management's sitting over there like I'm a delusional person. Like that's who I am. And in the best way, I think, and sometimes in the worst way. Like I think you have to have a little bit of delusion to do this. You got to be a little crazy. And I was thinking, man, because I have the engineering background from Auburn, like I could have chose that. I love the conversation of the 10,000 hours. I've put it in this. Like I'm 41 now. Like this is what I'm gonna do. I've already got my chips in. They're in. So how am I getting to Australia? How am I gonna call Zach and be like, all right, now we got a story. I've been optimistic with my culture and with my songs, but now I have an opportunity to prove that I'm the true optimist. But the anger hadn't set in because the realization of me being paralyzed hadn't set in. Like, no, dude, you can't squeeze your wife's hand. You can't walk. Like, you've got a long road. And all of those whispers set in, which I call them, the devil. Like, your window of opportunity is gone. You're not a spring chicken anymore. And these are voices you hear, but they're also whispers of, like, you have people come visit you in the hospital. They're like, oh, and I'm like, well, let's write a song. No, you take care of yourself. Now I want to get back to writing a song because Nashville's flying, and people are getting record deals, and songs are flying by. The class of whatever is passing you, and it's not a competition, but it's like, I got my 10,000 hours. This is my time. So what I'm trying to do is go, no, I'm not delusional here. I'm thinking right. I got to get back to the stage. How do I get back to the stage? And then Alex's hand is in my hand, and I can't squeeze my wife's hand. And it set in all at one time, and I realized that rock bottom had a basement, For the first time in my life, I was like, I truly understood the black abyss of suicide. Like, not that I thought about suicide, but I understood it. I understood why somebody would want to take their life. And I was like, that was a very scary, like, whoa, get out of that hole. Whoa, you don't want to think about that. And my brain was capable of thinking about that, The fact that somebody that was born in Hokesbluff, Alabama, that, had the Sonic and the one stoplight and had the football fun and had just the guitar and had a good life and, like, was capable of thinking about taking his own life, like, that was very scary. And that happened in the hospital in that moment that I couldn't squeeze her hand. So very dark, and that's why we're so passionate about mental health now, and because we've got a lot of work in the mental health world of, I've got a lot of hours logged with therapists, mental and physical, so, and it was a long road getting out of that, just getting back to Nashville and getting back to writing songs. And then the pandemic sets in, man, Right when I got back on stage, we went and performed in Austin, Texas at Six Flags for...
So this was in 2020 when you got back on stage. So, I mean, because you were in a wheelchair for how long?
So from August to February, I was basically in a wheelchair and got up on a walker January and started kind of getting cane worthy and started trying to figure out how to make a cane look cool on stage, which you can. There's a vibe there, but it was like there was a show, and it was a show that was very much needed. that was before the pandemic. It was like it was February of 2020. It didn't happen till March.
Yeah,
2020. So February 2020, I had that show to look forward to. Didn't have a band. Had to put together that band. Because the band had to go get, my old band had to go get jobs. I didn't have any work because I couldn't walk. So we get on stage and play that one show, and I remember getting the check and it really helping. And then these rumblings of the pandemic had set in, and it was like, this is, you're not going to be able to play. So then we had to face that, right after learning how to walk again. So that time period was August, September, October, November, December. So, I mean, it's a long time.
Yeah.
If you think about, it was a month or two of, am I ever going to move again? My hand going to move? It finally started moving because of prayer and because of compounding interest of prayer and people praying. I truly believe, I just believed it was going to move again. And 2 months later, it did. 2 months later, 3 months later, my legs started moving. Then we started learning how to walk and getting back up. And, I remember Eric Church, they had this weird CMA or ACM award show on stage. They were sitting around round tables in this conference room. You remember that?
It was
2020.
Yeah,
and they were
which
like,
one? It was-
they had to be 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And they had to be like Hollywood correct, but they didn't want anybody to judge country music or whatever. And Eric Church won the Entertainer of the Year.
Yep.
And I remember thinking in my head, I should win Entertainer of the Year this year. Because we played in this barn that you see in 2020. We played 80 weeks in a row. Every Wednesday night, we played in this barn right there because I had to play. And that's what healed me. That music of something to look forward to on Wednesday night, to walk out here from, my back door and to walk on stage and play in front of, sometimes it was 600 people, sometimes it was 6,000, and, sometimes it was 20,000 people that were watching. And we sold T-shirts, took Venmos, took PayPals, took tips, everything was live streamed right here, this barn. Songs came out of it, a record came out of it, and we worked, we grinded, and so I thought I should have won the ACM Entertainer of the Year. And I think I told Eric that at one time. I texted him. I was like, I should have won that award. And because there was no, you're kind of kidding, but you're kind of not. You're like, man, I still believe, that was hard. You know what I mean? I'm halfway kidding, but that was hard. But it was also what saved us.
I mean, I think everybody, especially in the music industry as a whole, when 2020 happened, I mean, it was like, we've got to figure out a way to show our music for multiple reasons. Number one, for money coming in, but just, you hit it right on the head. And we've talked about it before. Like, every single year, there's a new artist coming in. And you just don't want to get overlapped. I mean, when you say 10,000 hours, help me out here. Is that the 10-year, is that what you're talking about? It's a 10-year town?
Well, yeah. You just hear the 10,000 hours.
Okay, yeah.
You put your 10,000 hours in. I probably have closer to 20. But if you do the math, which I like numbers, 10,000 hours, that's a lot of hours.
That's a long time.
It's a long time to devote to something, whether it be songwriting or whatever. And my point is, like, I've got my chips in. This is what I'm doing. I made this decision, and I love it. I still love it. I'm as passionate about it now as I've ever been, because of the story, because of that redemption story, the power of prayer, the power of optimism, the power of understanding the black hole and what songs come out of that thought, understanding Kurt Cobain, understanding, suicide's a hard thing to understand. Mental health is a hard thing to understand. Everybody's different, but the empathy you get from going through a near-death experience and seeing angels in the corner of the room and seeing God.
Suicide rates in farming is through the roof year over year. And it's I mean, there's a study, I think it was in the state of Georgia, that 70% of our farmers in Georgia thought about suicide in 2022 or something like that. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it makes sense. It's all about big ag. If you can't keep up with the big ag, it's kind of like you were talking about the new kid, the new Nashville. If you can't keep up with the TikToks, then you're going to get past, you're going to get gone. Well, man, if you can't have 25,000 acres of soybeans and rotate that to corn, then you ain't going to do it. So your guy that's down here farming 250 acres that's done it his whole life, like, if they're not in with the big Monsantos and the big, everything else, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. And that's what I think it has to change. It has to change in this country. And I think it is. I think it's changing as we speak, hopefully. But that's not a popular thing to talk about, because those companies are propping up our schools. They're propping up all the money that flows from that. Diversify the money. Share the wealth. Nobody needs billions and billions of dollars in this life. Nobody. Everybody, we can do it. We just have to understand the principles. For me, it's the principles of the scriptures and principles of, like, sharing things and being happy with I'm a capitalist. I love going out there and achieving things, and man, I love saving money, and I love finance and investing and all of that stuff. But man, the farming aspect of it, like, let's just get it back down to the guy out there growing the ear of corn, growing the 200 acres of soybeans, and selling it for a good market value us going to the store and getting rid of all the pesticides and the sprays and all that stuff, get rid of it all. And come back down to this, to taking care of our soul. The actual soul is where it all starts. And I mean, if you don't have that, you don't have anything. And that's what's detrimental is with this big ag and big things. Like, our soul is crap, and we can get it back. We just got to start doing it.
Somebody asked me the other day what my favorite part about doing this is, and it's the storytelling. I mean, I knew Drake White was a badass before I sat down, but after that story, I mean, shit, this is my favorite part of the gig. I had Brantley Gilbert came on the show, and he's another one. Just a great story, and it's like, you have had these things happen to you in your life, and like, it's just wake up the next day and just keep on going. So I really love that about you.
Thank you.
I play a game on this show. It's called Give 'em the Boot, presented by TECOVAS, okay? So I got a brand new pair of TECOVAS boots for you right here.
Thank you.
And inside this boot is 4 questions. You can give one of them the boot, but if you give one of them the boot, Drake, that means you have to answer the other ones, okay?
Okay.
And you don't have to give either one of them the boot. 4 questions. Question number 1, what do we got right there?
Let me see here. What's a dream hunt of yours to go on? Man, a dream hunt. You know, I've had the opportunity to go on most of the things. I love whitetail. That's my favorite thing to chase. But a dream hunt for me would have to be with my dad, and probably one of my physical therapist, Griff Moore, and probably Joe Wicker. Probably go to Alaska, go up there and fly a helicopter in, or fly a bush plane in with my buddy and my dad, and go in there, set up a wall tent, and probably hunt moose up there on some native land, like for 2 weeks, and just go up there and do it and be in that world, you know, with my dad. You know, at 70, I just watched him turn 70. That's probably a dream, because you have to detach yourself. You actually have to work for that. You have to work for these deer, and you have to do the food plots and the stands and all that, and work for the ducks. Goodness gracious, ducks are a lot of work. But that would require sacrifice from my wife, sacrifice from my mom, sacrifice from dad. Like, you'd have to get in shape for that. So I think it's one of those things of you have to change some stuff and sacrifice some stuff. So Alaskan moose would be cool.
Thank you for that in-depth answer. I'll do some of these questions, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I just want to go kill a big buck.
Yeah.
And that'd be it. Very intuitive answer right there.
Yeah, I have a tendency to talk too much. Favorite country musician right now? Stephen Wilson Jr.
Great answer.
Great record, great guy. Mysterious, like, melodies are authentic. He toured with us in Europe. Love his record, love his soul, love his spirit. Stephen Wilson Jr. all the way.
Like that.
Red Clay Strays, close second.
Those are 2 great ones.
Yeah.
What do we got next? It's only 2. Got 2 more. Give him the boot. Don't mess up your new pair of boots now, man.
I got to get scuffed up. I don't want to look like Riley Green out there on stage.
Oh, that's great.
I haven't really had trouble with any of these. What is your tour story no one knows? I was out with Zach Brown, and Zach's one of my buddies, so I feel comfortable saying this, but I have this bladder that, like, when I have to pee, I have to pee.
Yeah.
Like, I always wait to the last minute. Like, I'm about to piss my pants. Like, that's just my bladder. So I go, and we're having fun on that tour. I mean, we were with them for 60 dates. Like, So we got used to
know each other.
Oh yeah. And so like I would go out after every show and shake hands, like shake like 1,500 hands. Like I was like, dude, and that's my fan base. Like if you look back out, it's Zach Brown, Blackberry Smoke. It's those fans that we went in there and did that with. And I had to pee so bad. And Zach had already started his set, and I just walked over like any Alabama guy would. And I was like, well, here's a couple of bushes. And I mean, we're in an amphitheater, outdoor amphitheater. And I'm like, I look around, no kids, women, children, anything. And I pee, all right? And I walk back over, and I'm like, go about my whiskey drink, and I'm having a good time. And I always would go out and watch Zach, and everything was going good. And this was like 2 weeks into the tour. I get a call. Like my manager's like, hey, this was like the next day. No, it was like that night. Did you happen to pee in public? I was like, no. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did. I had to pee. I was going to piss my pants. Well, somebody saw you, and some Karen, like, definitely complained about it. I was like, at a Zach Brown show? Like, who? It, like, didn't matter, right? Don't matter. And I shouldn't have done it. I get it, but nobody knows. Nobody knew that. But yeah, if I have to use the restroom, I'm gonna find the nearest bush and use the restroom. You know,
so you're just waiting until the end. I mean, you don't have like a 20-minute gap or anything. It's just like when you have to go, you just go. Because usually, like, oh, I got to piss, so I'm gonna make my way to a bathroom.
I don't do that.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
usually like I'm the kind of guy that's blazing down the interstate, and like instead of going to the gas station, I will pull over on the side of the road, walk around to the passenger side, open both doors, and pee beside the thing and act like I'm working on my truck, and then come back around just so I don't waste time.
Keep going, bluff, baby.
So it's like I wait until I'm about to bust, like literally about to pee in my pants.
Okay, cool.
And I don't know why. Like deer hunting's the same way. Like I always wait until, and I've peed my pants a lot deer hunting because I don't want to pee. I don't want to give them that scent, and I've just done it. I've got a crazy story about peeing my pants. Like,
Let's hear it.
I don't need to. I don't know if I need. I don't want to be the person that pees his pants, but like, it's been a long time. But I had this really pretty girlfriend in high school, and I was hunting her dad's land, and I had this old man tree stand. I was like 30 foot up in a tree, and I was hunting this buck, and I had seen him the day before, and it was cold for Alabama, 30. And I had these Carhartt overalls on that was like insulated and everything was awesome, but I was pretty bundled up. And after it, I was going to eat chili at her house and, you know, hopefully get some action, and that was it. And I'm up there, and I'm like, I have to pee. And I'm on my way down. It's dark, and I'm getting down, and I'm like, uncomfortably, and it's like, I can't stop. I literally, I can't get, I'm still 15 foot up in the tree. I'm coming down. I got to pee. I pee, and I'm like, it's not a big deal. I pee. But I didn't, I came back, and she's like, her parents are there. Her grandparents are there. The chili smells good. And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do chili. My stomach's hurting. And I left and went home. So that's, I want to kill the deer, you know. I want to get to the place on time. Most of the time I'm 5 minutes late. But yeah, I've peed my pants as an adult a couple of times.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, first.
All right, we got one more question,
yeah, one
man.
more.
Let's get out of the pee.
Yeah.
Greatest Alabama football player of all time. Bo Jackson. The reason I say Alabama, he's from Alabama.
Yeah.
I know he went to Auburn. As far as Alabama football, I'll pick another one, but Bo Jackson's the greatest Alabama-Auburn football player of all time. I would probably say the greatest just because I love his spirit and I love what he did to her. You know, like that whole
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. I don't guess, but yeah, I mean, probably Namath.
But why do you say the Tua thing? I mean, hit on that.
Because the that Georgia game was such a, you know, it was such a big decision from Saban, and him coming in and doing that, and then rallying and just rallying the team and the leadership that it takes to, you know, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are like they're focused on women, beer, and cards and gambling, and you know, it's college, like let's go. And I'm all about that. And you could just tell he was just zeroed in on a different spiritual realm, a different level. And so I appreciate that about a man in this world. And I've watched him kind of go navigate these head traumas and all of that. But like in college to come in and do what he did, like, and lead, and they won. That was a great team.
It's an unbelievable team. So, would you, going off of that, I mean, would you consider yourself an Alabama fan?
Ooh, man.
Because you went to Auburn.
That might be the boot question there. So it's an interesting answer. And everybody out here can kiss my butt if you don't like it. I am an Auburn guy. When you go into Auburn, you go into the Plains, like that is me. I lived in a barn. I redid this old barn that was built in the 1905, and I live 20 minutes outside of Auburn. I am agriculturally driven. I wear Carhartts, and you know, because I like to do Carhartt stuff, not because I like, you know, how some people wear Carhartts, but when it gets time to do Carhartt shit, they're
yeah.
like,
And we're gonna hit on that. I love that you just said that. So
Auburn, because of the culture, was my spot. Now, I grew up, my grandfather was a huge Alabama fan. My grandfather's brother was the team dentist and a big buddy with Bear Bryant. So my dad raised me this huge Alabama fan. And then Saban comes in, and I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that's the greatest coach to ever live. I often wonder why he wasted his talents on, you know, college football, because he could have been like a military. I mean, this dude is, you've got to appreciate what he's able to do as a leader. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch. And still, fast forward, I loved baseball in high school, and I got a little scholarship to the junior college, and I was like, man, I'm pretty good at math, science. I'm going to go into, I want to start my own construction company. So building science it was. Auburn has an incredible building science deal. My buddy's got 88 acres at Auburn. His dad found 15 more right down the road. It's got an old barn on it. I'm going to redo the old barn because I got some skills with a hammer. So I do it. And we lived there, and I go to school there, and I remain an Alabama fan. Like, I'm an Alabama football fan. Like, really. Pulled for Alabama. Still pulled for Alabama. Went to all the games with the most diehard, Taylor Morgan, my buddy, diehard Auburn football guy on the planet. Went to all the games, had a good time, wore neutral clothes, wore like grays and, you know, whites and stuff like that. And remained an Alabama football fan. And once I graduated and became friends with, you know, Tim Hudson and Riley and you know, just all these Auburn guys, and I'm an Auburn guy. You know, I am. I realized what am I trying to prove by remaining an Alabama fan? And it was the fact that I could do it, that I could go to Auburn and remain an Alabama fan. And it wasn't because my dad was like, you know, Auburn football, basketball right now is awesome to watch.
Very good.
And so once I got out of college, I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm an Auburn fan. Like, and I am. I pull for Auburn, but there's no denying the legacy that I'm still a huge fan of Saban. I'm still a huge fan of that dynasty and of, you know, that culture that was built there. You know, when Alabama plays Auburn in football, I'm kind of pulling for the individual players. And I know that you can say that's a cop-out deal.
So the Iron Bowl, you're just cheering. You're not cheering for anybody to win?
I'm usually pulling for Alabama because they have a chance to win something.
Yeah.
If Auburn has a chance to win the national championship, yeah. That's not a good answer. I get it. But I don't care, man. I don't care. That's my answer.
I like it. I want to try this new whiskey you have coming out, so I want you to tell me what the rundown is.
So, man, I've always been it's the spirit of the storyteller, you know, and I love craftsmanship of all kinds, you know, whether it be making cabinets, making guns, knives. But whiskey to me has always been something that's like my dad growing up in a Baptist, you know, kind of, my grandfather was a preacher. We're just going to do like a little nip or we're going to do a full on?
I'm going to do a full on.
Tell me when.
Perfect.
I just grew up in this fire and brimstone type of world where this was the devil, you know?
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Cheers.
That's good.
It's good, isn't it?
It's real good.
It's real good. And I'll get into the story of I mean, that's not just like, I put a lot of time in mixing that with a guy with a lab coat on. So it's an official, this dude was like a doctor of whiskey. Anyway,
Damn.
Where's I getting at? That, you know, my whole life, my dad, everybody was like, because my grandfather was a rebel before he was a preacher, and I think he drank a little bit. And my grandmother was like, drinking's the devil, you know. You're Alabama fire and brimstone, don't do it. Mm-hmm. So I had this really cool uncle that carried me to wet T-shirt contest at the La Villa. You know, we'd stay at the Summit and go to, and he'd drink Bud Light, and he was always just the coolest. Had like a chest full of white hair, you know. He looked like a gorilla, a silverback gorilla. And Uncle
Just
Ron,
one of those cool uncles. Yeah.
Uncle Ron, Vietnam veteran, crazy sumbitch, you know. And he always drank whiskey in a solo cup, 3 ice cubes. And I just thought he was the coolest thing ever. So, like, drinking to me had always been like, and my dad was really cool, like moderation, but there was always this spirit of like, no pun intended, of like, nah, that's not good. So I was always, what do you think? As a kid, I was like, I got to have some. So I've always been a fan of whiskey. I liked whiskey the first time I drank it, really. So fast forward to this opportunity, the spirit of the storyteller had always been in my, actually, that rang. I loved those words together and putting that thing. And how it lubricates the story, how it lubricates it just taking that one drink. You can feel like, you know, the thing, the lift happened. And how it lubricates conversation. And so we go in, this 3-chord opportunity happens, and obviously this guy had bought a lot of barrels of reservoir type, you know, aging whiskey from all over the country. And that is he literally comes in with a lab coat and beakers, like beakers of things, and he's mixing this stuff. And it's a 5-year from Texas, it's a 5-year, a 7-year from Kentucky, and a 5-year from Indiana. And that's the mix. And all this was like, so smell is a huge thing to me. This stuff smells. If you smell it, like, it smells good.
It smells great.
What do you think it smells like? Like, you smell like oaky?
It smells a little, I could smell, a little wood.
A little woody?
Yeah.
And like the front, the tip, the nose.
Yeah.
The nose of it is like, it's got a bite. I like that. I like a bite, you know. And then the body of it, to me, is awesome and like full and kind of buttery. There's like a buttery. And dude, I feel stupid even saying this.
No, you went all in on it. I love it.
I don't even care. I learned all this, you know. And then the finish, to me, so you get your good smell, you get the nose. The finish was like a medicine. It was like a bite to it, and I didn't like it. And so he was like, all right, We'll add a little bit of water. We'll add this. We'll bring the proof down. We'll bring the proof up. We went back and forth, man. And this right here, to me, is like the smoothest. I just really like the taste of it. And to do that, it's like awesome. A dream, like a young man's dream to make your own whiskey.
Yeah.
And I think we sold out pretty quickly.
Now, is this just like e-commerce? I mean, just get it online, or do you have?
I think they've got it in stores. The main man's not here that is doing that, but like that knows that answer. But I think they started with like 3,800 bottles, and I think they sold out pretty quick. It's really good. I think it won. It didn't win the award, but I think it got like in the top 3 of a couple of hundred at the. I don't know all the, but it's really good, and we're proud of it. It's a thing that I'd wanted to do for a long time.
3 Chord.
And I love the label too. This is a friend of mine, Dana Pettit, drew that, and it's just, you know, I grew up in this Appalachian kind of area in Alabama, and it favors that.
Before we get on to what other things you have brewing for this year, you mentioned something about Carhartt, which I thought was interesting. So you have Carhartt as a brand, and you've got to wear it when you're doing these activities outdoor. You like doing Carhartt shit. And there's some people that like wearing it just to wear it. It's that lifestyle that has gotten so popular. We talk about it on the show all the time.
Yeah.
It happened when COVID hit and people wanted to get out of the city and buy a couple acres and wear cowboy boots and drive a pickup truck and listen to country music. It happened when Yellowstone came out. People wanted to be, you know, the next Rip or, you know, John Dutton or whatever. I like it. I really do. I love that people are starting to get into this lifestyle. Now, I think it needs to be understood about who builds this lifestyle, the blue collar, the construction workers, the farmers, everybody in between. What are your thoughts on people wanting to come into this lifestyle? Because you want to talk about more than anything, it's here in country music. And that's not just the fans of country music, that's the people that are coming into the genre to start playing country music. I mean, dude, you got a lot of people starting to get in this genre because they know more people are listening to country music. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Have you seen maybe on Instagram or TikToks, the where people ask Alexa or they ask Siri how to break out of the Matrix? Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
If I was to break out of the Matrix, how would I? How would you break out of the Matrix, Siri? And I'll paraphrase this answer, but she's like, oh, well, I would go basically buy some land. I would break away from, basically become independent, grow my own food, grow my own thing. I would have my own water source. I would back away from all mainstream media. I would back away from all of that. I would focus on a holistic lifestyle. I would focus on exercise. I would focus on the stars, on the moon. And she answers that. So where I'm going with that is I think it's great, no matter if, you know, Sheraton made this fantasy place and, you know, the pandemic definitely did it. It slowed everybody down to sitting around a fire. And actually, look what it did with your business of this long-form conversation. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to get back to long-form conversations. It can't be just all 15-second reels and things like some things take to talk to a kid about building a fire, you need a day or so. To talk to a kid about premarital sex or to talk to a kid about the ramifications of that or what God's trying to talk about in Genesis, or that takes longer than 15 seconds. Like, you have to be able to sit down. So it's producing this. The pandemic did it. You know, the Yellowstones did it, of going out and producing. Man, I think I would like to buy a piece of property. I had people call me during the pandemic and ask me about if I could teach them to hunt. And I said, well, hunting is a lifelong pursuit. Like, it's something I learn something every day going out there to become a woodsman. It's important to me to understand tracks and, you know, and to understand animals and understand conservation and land and how all of this works together. And the closer that you get to that, the more fulfilled you are. And I think that's the pull. People are seeing this, that our pharmaceuticals got out of hand. They're still out of hand. Our things like growing your own tomato out of your own soil, growing your own medicine, it's all out there. It's all biblical, that everything that we need to keep us well is out there in that dirt. You just got to figure it out. And now the people that have become independent, and the folks that are out there that know how to build their own cabin and know how to build their own fire and know how to cook, a backstrap tenderloin from a deer that they harvested and fried up in a cast iron skillet that their great grandmother left them behind. I mean, that stuff just freaking hits. And it's something that I was born with, and I thought everybody was born with it. I didn't understand it. And then the people that asked me, the pandemic was like, oh crap, we might need to learn how to shoot a gun and hunt. Yeah.
Fish.
I think you do. I love that Phil Robertson quote. I love Phil Robertson. And Phil said, I stay out in the woods. I mind my own business. I don't get into everything that's on TV, and I don't get into all this stuff. And I just don't, for the life of me, I don't understand why more people don't buy into this life of and they are. The problem is, what happens is the big money comes in and buys all the land in Montana and buys all the land, and that's just part of it. You have to figure that out. I'm not griping about that. Like I said, I love capitalism. Let's go. But I think it's overall it's good, but there's a lot of farms out there sitting vacant because they were watching Yellowstone and they had the money that their granddaddy gave them and left them, instead of the guy that's worked tooth and nail. And I know blue collared people, blue blood people that are great. You can't help the way you were born, but I'm saying you better get ready to work if you're going to start a organic farm. And most of those fail, and they get people in here that can work it for them. But it's a good life to get your feet, take your shoes off, put them in the soil, to learn how to grow, to learn how to hunt. That's a good pursuit. And man, as long as you're doing that stuff, you'll live long and you'll live fulfilled. And I plan to do it until the day that the good Lord takes the last tick out of my heart. I plan to do exactly that.
Cheers to that. Damn. Dude's spot on. So we talked a little bit about this off camera. I mean, you've got a project you're working on, basically your story. And what was it called? It's Hunts.
Yeah, so I have a song called The Hurt's the Healing.
Yep, Hurt's.
That basically I wrote on Zoom in a wheelchair 2 days after praying that God would give me the opportunity to write, because I couldn't make it to the publishing company. So that was a miracle in itself. So we write this song, The Hurt's the Healing. And we were sitting out here. I was in a wheelchair, and my brother-in-law is a cut-up, and he's a big hunter, big fisherman, and he's cutting up with me, and he's like, "Why don't you just get up and walk? Like, what's wrong?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't walk. I promise." And it was just, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go down here. Let's put up a game camera down here." And he's real fidgety, and he was like, "So we end up." I'm like, "Why would you put a game camera down there? I can't hunt the deer. I can't walk, man." And he goes and puts a game camera up, and 2 weeks later, a 175-inch deer walks 100 yards behind my house. I go to my wife and I said, "I got to learn how to climb a ladder, and I got to get a crossbow." And I'm a big bow hunter, and I was against crossbow, but man, in this case, it was like, I gotta try to hunt that deer. And dude, it healed me. It flipped this primal instinct in me, just seeing that picture of that deer. And I saw him twice right down here on hoof, didn't get a shot, but I hunted that deer for 2 years. And I went back, let me back up. I went to my wife and she was like, "Drake, you gotta learn how to walk. You can't climb a ladder." "Oh, yes, I can. Look at this deer." "Oh my gosh, where's that at? Kansas?" "No, it's right here." "All right, we got to do it." go to my physical therapist. He's from Mississippi. He's a deer hunter, turkey hunter. Hey, we got to learn how to climb a ladder. Bro, you can't. We got to learn how to walk first. Show him the picture. Oh my gosh, where's that, Kansas? No, it's behind my house. Get on that VersaClimber. You understand what a 175-inch buck is. Like the biggest, a 4 or 5 year old deer whitetail here is like a 140. If
Max,
they're healthy. You know, and you might get a 150, 160 every now and then, but there's every redneck with a 30-06 is trying to shoot it around here. So this is a big deal. And I go to him, and he's like, all right, get on that VersaClimber. And, man, 2 months later, I walk down this hill before daylight, climb this ladder stand. And, dude, you talk about this hand, okay? In my head, my heart's beating fast because there's a fear of, like, what if I fall? And then I'm right back where I started. And the thought that you have to give climbing a ladder stand and with your left side being partially paralyzed is like, you have to think about the frost on the rung when your foot hits it. And like, okay, make sure the middle of your foot is in the middle of the rung and then transfer your weight. Mm-hmm. And so it took me like 25, 30 minutes with my wife at the bottom of the ladder like, are you okay? Are you okay? And then she goes up to the house. And I gave her a pair of binoculars, and she's like looking at me, like texting me, you good? And I hunted that deer, you know, for 2 years. I hunted him. And it gave me a purpose because you got to understand, we're in the pandemic. We're not going and playing. We're not doing, and I got a chance to like, and I started to think, man, what if it was an angel deer? What if he just put that deer down there? Like, because I only saw him twice, and then he disappeared, and I've never seen him on anybody's Facebook or Instagram. And if somebody would have killed that deer, I definitely would have saw it. And there's a park down the road that he could have survived in for sure. But what if God would have put that deer in my life to save it, to give me a purpose, to give me something to pursue? Something to look forward to. I thought about it every night, thought about it every day. Oh, the wind's this way. I'm not going to go down there, but I could go around this way. And I could maybe come up and sit in the barn and catch it. And I did many times. I would sit in the barn and kind of peek through that crack and try to catch him. And I did. I would catch him coming through. But, yeah, I never killed him. But it literally, it healed me. And it switched this primal instinct in my brain that I was a provider and I was a hunter and I did have a purpose. So I thought that was a great story. And I thought that through the popularity of, you know, just everybody talking about the Yellowstone thing and wanting to get back to my friends wanting to ask me to hunt and what, you know, Joe Rogan just went through with Cam Haines and like all the conversation about hunting and what it does, because it is I love this quote. It is a newer thought to not hunt, to not be a hunter, than it is to be a hunter. Because some people, when they say you're a hunter, some people from New York or LA might be like, ugh, you're a hunter. Well, it's a newer thought not to hunt. If you didn't hunt back 60 years ago, 100 years ago, you weren't going to eat. And I'm not saying we have to do this to feed our family, but we do. Tonight we will eat chili from a deer that I killed, and that is super fulfilling to me, to eat that and to share it with my family, to share it with my friends. And so we documented this process, dude, of like learning how to walk. And I've got my best friend is my creative director, and he's a great cameraman and cinematographer. And we did all these interviews of like the way primally it just felt like I needed to get back in a stand and I needed to get back to this.
So this project, which is called
Hunts the Healing.
Yeah. You've been recording for
3 years.
3 years now.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
And the process of the VersaClimber, the process of climbing the ladder, the process of the black abyss of man, I'm never going to get to hunt again, back to seeing this deer. Just seeing the deer triggered everything. And then going to the neurologist, and the neurologist going, what do you mean, A neurologist going, you're like, what? Oh, the neuroplasticity from the time that I saw the deer was forming around the lesion from a legitimate test. And when you have a brain injury, you just need some type of hope that you're healing.
Yeah.
The deer was literally, the purpose of the deer and me getting to go pursue it was healing me. And so all these people that say hunting, you're barbaric or you're this, or man, how Bambi portrays it's wrong and you're Fox and the Hound's wrong. Dude, we are hunters. I'm a hunter. And so going to Real Tree, going to Federal, going to, my buddies at Banded, and all these things, like telling this story in a way that's like, no, I had to have it. And this deer was an angel deer, but it did save my life, and music saved my life, and a bunch of songs came from this, and they're still coming from this. But man, that deer, seeing that deer on that camera, I'm in a wheelchair going, there ain't no need to put a camera down there. 2 weeks later, I see a deer, and then neuroplasticity starts forming around because I'm thinking about it. I'm not thinking about woe is me and the black abyss.
Yep.
I'm thinking about, how do I get that deer?
Kill that deer.
How do I kill the deer? Never
Dude,
killed
is
it.
Unbelievable. So when will this project come out?
So hunting season starts September,
Yeah.
August, September. So everybody starts talking about that. It's so hot and they're ready for the cold to happen. And so August, September 2025, we're going to do a launch here in Nashville. I would love for you to be there.
Absolutely.
We're going to do a viewing here in Nashville, and then we're going to do a viewing in Denver for the granola people out there and hang out. I'm just kidding. I'm a little granola myself, so I say that endearingly. But I think it's important to understand this is not, and I love Bass Pro. It's right down the road, but it's not just for your Bass Pro people. It's for your brothers, your sisters. It's for, this story is a human story man, it saved me. Like, it literally saved me having that purpose. And so when I say this to your Michael Waddell's or your Cam Haines or hopefully your Joe Rogans, I hope those guys are going, they love a good story. Your Steve Ranellas, I hope just to get it out to the masses of like, man, find your deer. Find your thing to hunt. Find your thing to pursue.
Dude, that is awesome.
Because when you do, man, you don't talk about people. You don't talk about Instagram. You're not on your phone. You're afraid the phone's going to scare the deer away. You're not worried about keeping up with the Joneses. You're worried about the wind direction. You're looking at the sun. And that goes back to what we're talking about. You're connecting to your food source. And then you're eating it at night. And then you're trying to figure out how to get beans in the ground. And that's where we're supposed to be, man. That's what this podcast is about. That's what I'm about, is this flannel shirt on my back is like, what if I made it? I didn't make this. But
yeah.
I would like it more,
Dude.
And
that's unbelievable.
I want to get back to that.
You hear that a lot in like sports, like, an injury that I want to get back on the football field. I want to get on the baseball field. And this is kind of that. But did you ever see the deer in person?
Twice.
Okay. Because then it would have been like,
oh, it happened. It happened in very whimsically times. Fog, something, and it's just like a ghost.
That's cool.
And so it happened too when I wanted to give up. He would give me and that's a great lesson, because God did that the whole time during the recovery of this injury, during the whole time of my navigation of the music industry. When I wanted to give up, he'd give me a song. Or when I wanted to give up, a crowd would lift me up. Or when I was too confident, something would happen and knock me down.
Yeah.
It just is an ebb and flow. I love it, and it's frustrating, but man, it is what it is. It's life, and I love living it. I love talking about it, and the stuff that we're doing for 2025 with the music. We got a new record out.
I know. Let's hit on that. I mean, You've got new record coming out. Are you, because I know you're going to be with Riley some of this year, correct?
Yep.
And then are you doing your own thing as well?
We're doing our own thing in the spring. We're going to be with Riley in April. We're going to do some stuff, I think, with Jamie Johnson, with Chase Rice.
I love that. I was in Oklahoma with Chase a couple weeks ago, Doug.
Yeah, and we're gonna do all of our shows, and I'll say our shows have turned to this thing where there's an edge to the spirit of like it's kind of like, there's an edge to all of it. There's an edge to being from Alabama and playing with a chip on your shoulder of like, oh yeah, watch this. It's kind of Waylon was so good because Waylon played with a chip on his shoulder. And I'm not jaded. I feel like I'm lucky just to even be on stages. But like we're here and we're not going anywhere. Like we're writing songs and there's new guys out there. Your Zach Tops. I think that's the best country music out there right now. I think your records, your Stephen Wilson Jr.'s and your Red Clay Strays, Muscadine Bloodline, I've watched those guys come up and say no. I'm so proud of them. They've said no forever, and now they've got a record coming out. Watching Lainey do what she's done. I mean, that girl, I watched her grind and everybody tell her no for years. You can tell the people that are like, no, I'm in it. I'm doing it for the rest of my life. And when I'm 99,000 years old and I'm sitting there like I'm going to be writing songs forever. I love it. I love the Rubik's Cube, that trying to figure that out. And so the new record's called Low Country High Road, and we released it in September, and I just love it. I did it with Jonathan Singleton, my buddy, and Jonathan's done Luke Combs and everybody else, and just it's been great. But we've got some really cool things coming up our sleeves with new music, and it's about spontaneity of like letting this thing flow, letting creativity just come to us, and just like that deer, chasing that deer. I'm always chasing that song and chasing that next thing, and we've got our Instagram does well. It's Drake White Stomp, and I struggle with TikTok some, but I do. I'm just stupid enough where I can get in there and do. I'm a goofy guy. Like I try not to take life too serious, and because if I would have, it would have killed me. Because I'm so competitive, and watching people fly past me when I was hurt, that would have been the end of me. But we kept going, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of this barn. Proud of my family. I got a little 2-year-old, and proud of the music, but we're coming, man. 2025, if we're around a city that you're in it, I highly suggest. I mean, it's like a revival you can drink at, and that's my type of revival. I think my Jesus drinks whiskey, and it's just the truth for me, and I feel like this is, I was raised around genuine people, and that's what this music is.
Amen. Dude, I'm a fan.
Thank you.
I really am. This has been unbelievable conversations. What you have gone through to where you're at now, I'm excited to share, but this is just the beginning, and I'm excited for 2025. And for anybody listening, like Drake just said, go out there, go to a show, go listen to some music, drink some 3-Chord. This is unbelievable.
Thank you.
The project coming out, I'm excited about. So thank you for everything that you're doing, what you've done for me, and coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out here to the farm.
I'm excited. As always, appreciate y'all tuning in. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.